Hello and welcome to the Kathleen Spracklin podcast. I am a woman on a mission to gather a cadre of writers, thinkers, and teachers who are transforming the world one character at a time. And it all starts with one thing: a deep understanding of human motivation, why people do what they do, and the forces that drive them. To gain that understanding, I am mining the intersection of psychology, theology, and philosophy to make you a better writer. This is episode 131, the Zettelkasten, Effortless Luhmann Scheper numbering. Yesterday I told you and showed you how, as long as you don't make one major mistake, the single mistake that is most likely to make a mess of your numbers, as long as you avoid that one mistake, your numbers can be effortless. And I illustrated it using a family tree and using my effortless numbering system. Number, letter, number, letter. Very effortless. But I promised you also that it could be just as effortless using Luhmann Scheper numbering. Now, if that doesn't make any sense to you, then you're probably not following Scott P. Scheper and his marvelous videos on the analog Zettelkasten or anti-net. Now, I've got to give you a plug for Scott because he is probably the most knowledgeable person on planet Earth regarding analog Zettelkastens. And if you have seen his book, it is a powerhouse, big and thick and scholarly and beautifully referenced. And he will give you the history, the ins, the outs, the reasons, the why, the philosophy. Personally, I'm not a great fan of his numbering system. But in my view, it really doesn't matter what numbering system you use. You just simply have to have one. And in fact, the more accustomed you get to building your Zettelkasten, the more you'll realize, numbers? What did I make such a big thing about numbers? Numbers aren't anything. If they go on a card, okay, I got them, no problem. But you got to get over that little hump. And that's why I created the effortless numbering system, so that you could get past that challenging point where numbers seemed scary. I went through it yesterday again. Now what I'm going to do today is show you that if you like the style of numbers that Scott P. Scheper uses himself, which are modeled on the numbering system style that Luhmann used, who is the original creator of the analog Zettelkasten, then you will love today's video because I will show you how to do Luhmann Scheper numbering effortlessly. Again, as long as you don't break one cardinal rule. And I'll refer to that again in this episode. So we're going to take yesterday's family tree and we're going to present it in a different numbering system. So let's dive right in. Yesterday we looked at this lovely family, Grandma and Grandpa, 2 married kids, and each of them had 2 children. Now, we took a look at it using my system, and now we're going to take a look at it using Scott P. Scheper's numbering style. The first thing you'll notice here is that all of these numbers begin with 4213, 4213. Well, if you're familiar at all with Scott's numbering system, you know he has a catalog system that gets you started with the first 4 digits of your number. So we're going to pretend that we looked up the numbers and 4213 was exactly where we wanted to start. So I'm not going to go into how you choose those with this video. There will be another video about that. But for the most part, we're going to say, the main thing it tells you, do you want them closer to the front of your box or to the back of your box? And 4213 is a little closer to the front, just a little to the front from the middle. 5000 would be right in the middle, so a little bit towards the front. And now we're going to look at the numbers that relate to the members of the family tree. And you can see that if you're at all familiar again with Scott's numbering system, you know that he uses a slash to separate the elements in his numbers. So here we have /1 to identify the grandparents. Then 1/1 is the first married couple. 1/2 is the second married couple. And then the children, 1/1/1, because it's coming from this parent group. And then 1/1/2 for this parent group. Again, here, this parent group gives you 1/2/1 and 1/2/2. Now, I'm not particularly fond myself of /1/1/1. I get a little bit lost and it gets a little dizzying for me. But let's line these up with the effortless numbering system using my style, and we will notice that they are functionally equivalent, and that means that mathematically speaking, they're identical, and I'll go all the way down to the bottom to show you what that means specifically. So let's put both numbering systems on the page in front of us. Okay, so here we have our family tree again. Now this is the red numbers in red are the numbers you saw yesterday, my effortless numbering system. I think that going from 1 down to 1A and 1B just seems to make logical sense to me. Whereas /1 going to /1/1 and then /1/2, it's a little bit more of a mouthful. But you can see the coding. 1 goes to A, because mine go from number to letter. 1 to B, number to letter. And ignoring the fact that in Scott's system, you start off with a geography number, 4213. Down at the bottom, it's just as clear, 1A1, 111. A being the first letter of the alphabet. 1A2, 112. 121 and 1B1, I think it's pretty clear that they're functionally identical. Now let's take a look, because yesterday we expanded the family tree a little bit so that we could get some more numbers on the page. Let's see what happens with Scott's numbers when the family tree grows. Now remember, yesterday we took the case where a new child was born to this couple, and this family adopted a dog whose parent, in a doggy parent sense, was the boy child. And we built out our numbers, extending down from our existing numbers. It was easy to add the extra child. We already had 1B1, 1B2, 1B3. So the third child was 1B3. And here you can see that reflected also in Scott's numbers, /1, /2, /3 at the end. They're functionally equivalent. And even when it comes down to the puppy, you can see that /1, /1, /1, /1 is functionally equivalent to 1A, 1A. And those numbers, pick your style. They both mean the same thing. Now we're going to push it one more little bit deeper, just to start showing you a little bit about why I'm not quite so crazy about Scott's numbering system. We'll push the envelope a little bit further. Okay, now, the puppy is a whole grown-up dog now and has puppies of her own. What do you know? It was a girl dog. Now, what do we have for another generation? Well, we know our dog was 1A, 1A, and its three little puppies are 1A-1, 1A-2, and 1A-3. As you'll recall in the effortless numbering system, it's number letter, dash. Number letter, dash. And the dashes are just there to make the number more easily read, make it easier to read on the page. Now talk about ease of reading. Let's take our cute little puppy number 1 on the left. He's 4213/1/1/1/1/1/1, unless I got mixed up there and said one too many or one too few of those /1s. Yeah. But to each his own. And if you've already got your fair way into your Zettelkasten and you're using this style of numbers, keep it up. They'll fit right in. But you can relax as you make new numbers if you only follow the one simple rule and never break it, and that is that each new child gets to choose its parent, and its number descends from its parent number, and it's the next available number based on its siblings. And as long as you always add the new card in at the end of the list of the children, you will never run into any problems numbering your cards, not in my system and not in Scott's system. It's only when you decide that this little baby has got to go between the boy and the girl, or in front of the girl, or some other place in this ordering, that you start getting numbers that are a little bit squirrely. And you can pretty much see in Scott's numbering system, if you're a subscriber to his newsletter, you have access to his Zettelkasten for writing the book. And if you look at those numbers, whenever you see something weird like /0 or 1A or negative numbers, you know those were situations where he wanted the card in a certain order and had to torture the numbers to make that happen. In my world, I just create a directory card and just list them all together, and I don't have to fight with, oh, I want this one up, one higher on the line. Okay, so now let's unfold this so that it looks like the cards in an analog Zettelkasten. And it'll take us 2 pages to do that, because to be able to spread them out enough that we can see what's on each card is going to take a little space on our page. So here's card 1, or /1 if you will, Grandma and Grandpa, their married daughter, 1A, and 4213/1/1. This couple's son, 1A1, and you add another /1 here. The son's pet, now you got to add another /1, and here you add another A. And then the mother dog's 3 puppies in a basket. This puppy is a little harder to see. If we get him out of order a little bit, you can see that he's the puppy on the left, he's the puppy in the middle, and he's the puppy on the right. So each one of these guys has his own proper spot in an order in the Zettelkasten. Let's take a look at the second page and see the rest of the cards. Now we have to pick up with the boy's sister, the other family, the grown son and his wife, and their 3 children. And again, the same principle holds. The numbers, you just stack them in cards. Now, when I tell you now that they're functionally equivalent, what that means to say is that if you take all of these cards on these same 2 pages and you throw them across the room, you can go gather them up and put them in the right order using either the red numbers or the black numbers. They both work perfectly. They both fit into an index. These long ones have a little bit more time fitting into the index, but they do. They all work well as index entries, and they're equally usable. So you simply get to take your pick. And I might also add, when we get to the section where we're talking about geography, you can also have a geography number like 4213 in front of these guys as well, if you like the geography system, in which case this would be 4213 dash or dot 1A2, 1B, 1B1. So we're not going to cover that today. We'll cover that in another session. So there you have it. Their numbering systems are equally easy if you do not force the order of children. If you say all parents love all of their children equally, then even the Luhmann Scheper numbering system never gets hard. Everything stays very, very easy. So thank you again for watching me another night, and talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.